The goal for this video is to give you absolutely everything you need to know about how to build a home golf simulator. I am going to be going through absolutely everything, from enclosures to hitting mats to impact screens, projectors, PCs, everything. I mean everything. No stone is going to be left unturned. And by the end of this video, you will have absolutely everything you need to be able to go and make your own home golf simulator. This is going to be quite a long video, so make sure you're using the chapters along the bottom of the screen. Here, you'll be able to find exactly what topic you want to be looking at. So even if you're halfway through your build, there will be information in here worth having. Without further ado, let's get into it. Throughout this video, I'm going to reference everything that I have in my simulator room, so you can see where I've spent my money and what I've got in return for it. This isn't the best simulator room on YouTube. It's extremely budget, but hopefully me putting a price on this build will give you guys a reference to what you can achieve. The very first thing you need to consider is how much space you actually have for your golf simulator. The amount of space you have is going to determine a lot of factors. What launch monitor you're going to have access to, what size screen can you get, what's the biggest projector you can get. Answers to all of that to follow, but let's consider how much space you actually need. Theoretically, all you need to be able to do is swing a golf club. There are launch monitors available that sit very close to the golf ball, so as long as you can swing a golf club, you can have a golf simulator. Generally speaking, you're going to need about 9 to 10 foot of ceiling height, and you're going to need about an 8-foot diameter circle around you. Most people should be able to swing within those sorts of parameters. Now, I'm really lucky. I've got a huge amount of space in this workshop to have this golf simulator. The unit itself is about 11 meters long by 5 meters wide, so I've got all the room in the world to be able to build something here. But above me, I do have a steel beam that goes all the way down the middle of this unit. That is 9.5 feet above the ground, and it is well clear of my swing path with the driver. I haven't got the widest of swings, but I'm 6'1", so I'm probably taller than the average golfer. So if your space is 9.5 feet tall, you've probably got enough room to swing a golf club. Now, just to show you how much space you really need to swing a golf club, this golf ball here is 8 feet away from my hitting screen and 8 feet away from my side netting. The top netting in my hitting bay is 9 feet tall, so a little bit shorter than the steel beam I was talking about earlier. I'm going to stand myself sort of in the middle of this square, and yeah, just to show you that with a driver, it is possible to swing in an 8 foot by 8 foot by 9 foot cube. So plenty of room. You don't need a huge amount of space. The more the better, but all you need to be able to do is swing a golf club. That was pretty close to the screen, but still didn't hit it. The next thing we're going to look at is going to be the first thing you're going to buy, your launch monitor. There's a couple of things you need to know about launch monitors. Number one, it's going to be the most expensive part of your simulator. Launch monitor is where all the technology is to measure your golf ball in flight. This is the thing that's going to provide the accuracy of your simulator. This is going to be the thing that's going to make practice meaningful, make simulation fun. The more accurate, the more reliable, the better the experience. And let me tell you, my launch monitor made up more than 50% of my total budget for this simulator room. The second thing you need to know, space is a very limiting factor when it comes to golf launch monitors, and the amount you have is going to determine which golf launch monitors you have access to. So let's list the types of launch monitors. If you only have enough room to swing a golf club, you're going to want a camera-based unit. Camera-based units sit about a foot away from the golf ball, and they only measure the golf ball for about 1 to 2 feet of its flight. It's gathering all the information it needs in that 1 to 2 feet of ball flight to be able to simulate that golf shot. And because of where they sit in relation to the golf ball, it makes them extremely versatile when it comes to golf simulator builds. You can also get radar units. Some would argue that radar units are more accurate because these radar units sit behind the golf ball and measure more of the golf ball's flight. The trade-off though, radar units need to sit at least 7 feet behind the golf ball. And further to that, you're going to need at least 8 feet of ball flight. So if your space isn't 15 foot long, you're not going to be able to fit a radar unit into your simulator room. The third option are ceiling mounted launch monitors. As a rule, these launch monitors are the most expensive type. There's not a huge amount of options for them. And although the unit would be sitting above the golf ball, you still need a decent amount of height above the golfer. So you're probably going to need a little bit more than 9.5 feet. These launch monitors come in all sorts of shapes and sizes and all sorts of budgets. We've all heard of Foresight GC quads and Trackmans. These are the professional grade launch monitors and they cost upwards of £15,000 to £20,000. Luckily nowadays there are a lot more budget friendly options. You can get radar units for as little as £500. So, in my simulator, I've got the Flightscope Mevo Plus. This was the first thing I bought for my golf simulator and it cost me £1,750. Let's chalk that up onto the total. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how much I spent on my simulator room. Moving on to the next subject. The next thing we're going to talk about is the hitting mat. Not enough people put thought or budget into their hitting mats, and I'm here to make sure that you purchase the right mat for you. The thing that first-time simulator builders don't realize is that the wrong mat will end up injuring you. If you have a cheap, thin hitting mat, every time you hit a golf ball, energy is going to be transferring all the way up the golf shaft into your wrists and into your elbows. And if you hit enough golf shots off a poor mat, you're going to end up damaging yourself. And you might not be able to play golf at all. So we need to make sure that you're buying a good enough mat. Basically put, a good golf mat is going to be thick and spongy, which will make it forgiving on your wrists. Something a bit like this hitting strip. You can see it's really thick, it's got a big rubber sort of layer at the bottom, and the turf itself is quite thick as well. When you hit golf balls off this, a lot of energy is being absorbed by this mat, which is going to help prevent injury. Problem with these mats is that they are quite expensive. Like I said, this simulator build was very, very budget. And when it comes to a hitting mat, you need to make sure that you are spending the money. So when I first built this simulator room, I started with a small hitting strip and I sunk this into my flooring and I hit off that. You probably noticed by now though that my simulator room has a much bigger hitting mat. The hitting mat I have now is second-hand from a driving range. But to make sure that it was forgiving on the wrists, I had to modify it. So in my simulator room, I've got a raised floor and I've sunk the mat into the flooring. But underneath the hitting area, I put layers and layers of carpet underlay. What this has done is it's raised the mat from the concrete floor and thickened the area underneath the hitting zone. So I've managed to modify this cheap driving range mat to have a premium and soft feel when you hit the golf ball. So if you don't want to spend a huge amount of money on your hitting mat, you don't need to. But you will have to put some thought into modifying it to make sure that it's forgiving on your joints. There's no point spending a huge amount of money on a golf simulator if you're not going to be able to use the thing. Let's talk about how much this hitting mat has cost me. That initial hitting strip was about £150 when I bought it. The driving range mat was a gift from my in-laws, but I think it's important to consider the raised floor that I put in here. This is all materials that I got from a local hardware store. And all in all, the flooring, the driving range mat, the underlay, probably cost me about £600. Moving on to the next topic. The next thing that's going to eat into your budget is the simulator enclosure. And it's the first opportunity you're going to have to put some DIY flair into your space. With DIY flair comes an opportunity to save some money. You can buy these online. They'll ship these things out in a box to you, flat packed, ready to assemble. It's like IKEA, but with better instructions. And there are loads of options for these, and they include impact screens, which we'll get into next. But they come in all sorts of sizes, and with some providers, you can even custom size your build. And you'll have everything you need in a box. But if you do have a space that needs a little bit more of a bespoke touch, it's definitely worth DIYing your enclosure. For example, my unit is multi-purpose. You've probably seen on my wall in the background, I've got some archery equipment, so I do some shooting in here. I work from here, and it's a storage unit for tools and garden machinery and Christmas trees. It had to be multi-purpose, otherwise I wasn't allowed to do it. The reason I went with the DIY route is because I needed my screen to be retractable. So I've set up a suspended catenary wire frame, and my enclosure essentially hangs off this catenary wire. I've got these blackout curtains hanging down from the side. I've got my top netting pinned to each corner, and I've got my hidden screen hung on the back wire like a curtain, so I can just retract it whenever I need to. Like I said, building your own enclosure is a massive opportunity to save some money. You can spend £1,000 or more on a flat pack enclosure. It does come with a hitting screen, but there are lots of options for hitting screens as well, so another opportunity to save some money. A spool of catenary wire cost me less than £50, and I guarantee I didn't spend £1,000 on my hitting screen. That's what I'm going to go into next. If you want a high quality image for your golf simulator, an impact screen is not going to be where you want to save some money. The impact screen is the thing that stops the golf ball from pinging around all over your simulator room. But it's also the thing that the image gets projected onto. The more money you spend on this, the better experience you're going to have. With that said though, this particular impact screen was free. A gift from my in-laws, so I actually spent no money on this impact screen. I did do some digging though, because if I ever needed to replace it, I needed to know what I was going to buy. And I know that this impact screen was £200 from Amazon. And I think you'd agree, the image on this isn't too bad. Good, if anything. And I've got a lot of light in my space here. If I turn the lights off, the image gets even better, but I wouldn't be able to see my golf ball. The point I'm making here is that I've got a lot of light in my space. I need light because I work in here, and I need light for the cameras. I can still see the screen, and this screen still stops my golf ball. Personally, I think an impact screen is an opportunity for you guys to save some money. It's also something that you can upgrade in the future. If you save a little bit of money here, you can use that money on more important things later on in your build. This doesn't have to break the bank. So do some research, have a look into it. Basically, what you're looking at is the tighter the screen is woven, the higher the quality. A good impact screen will have 2 or 3 layers. It will be extremely quiet when a golf ball hits it. And obviously it's going to take in much more light from the projector, which means that your image quality is going to be much better. But like I said, this £200 impact screen isn't negging me out every day. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything with this. So spend what you want here, but I would suggest saving your money for the next thing that we're going to look at. Next thing we're going to look at is the projector. If you want the full golf simulator experience, you're going to need a projector. And I promise you, this part of your build is going to have you tearing your hair out. It's why I'm bald. There are so many projectors on the market. It's an absolute minefield to find the right one. But I've got a little hack for you. There's a website called Projector Central that has a throw calculator, which has been an absolute lifesaver when it comes to finding a new projector. Most people think that any projector will do, but if you buy the wrong projector, you might not be able to fill your screen like I have here. It might not be bright enough. It might not be high enough quality. It might be too much quality for your PC. Like I said, a minefield. But at least this website can help you find the right one that's going to fit your space. With this calculator, you'll be able to make sure that you have a projector that's going to fill your screen, while also making sure that your projector is bright enough for your space. When it comes to projectors, the brighter the better. The higher the nits number in this calculator, the brighter your projector is going to be. The way these projector companies even advertise the lumens in their projectors is a minefield. There's different types of lumens. Like if you go on Amazon, they'll boast 10,000 lumens when it's actually 1,000. It's honestly nightmare. Use this website because it will save you time, and there's a good chance it will save you money. The reason why it's going to save you money is twofold. One, you're not going to buy the wrong projector to start with. And 2, I spent the time to find a second-hand projector that was going to do the job for me. So instead of spending £600, £700, £800 or more on a projector, I spent £150 on a second-hand one from eBay. Now don't get me wrong, this projector is quite old. It's not 4K, but neither is my PC. So I didn't need 4K. But I think you'd agree, it does the job. And like with all home golf simulators, everything can be upgraded with time. So if I ever feel like I've got the budget for a better projector, a better PC, or a better impact screen, these things can always be upgraded. So don't be afraid to start small and work your way up. It's better to make cheap mistakes than expensive ones. But definitely use that website. It is a lifesaver and a time saver and a money saver. In fact, link in the description. This next section is another minefield, I'm afraid. What PC do you need to buy? You've got a choice to start with here. Are you going to buy a PC, a tower-based unit, or a laptop? First things first, you're going to get more value for money from a tower PC over a laptop. The fact that a laptop is portable means it's smaller, which means there's less room to cram technology into. And that's why you're going to get more value for money from PC tower. But you're going to have to spend money on a monitor as well. If you're getting a projector, you don't technically need a monitor, but they are handy to have next to your PC. The real nitty-gritty minefield stuff that you need to be looking at is the computer's specs. Someone's doing some gardening next door. That's annoying. There are 3 key specs in a laptop that you need to consider. Number 1 is the processor. Number 2 is the graphics card. And number 3 is the RAM. And to make this as simple as possible, when you're looking at laptops or PCs, the higher these numbers are, the better. And you'll notice that when you're looking at the prices of these things. Now, GSPro, a golf simulator company, have a handy section on their website which outlines the minimum requirements you need for a PC for their golf simulator software. The minimum you need is a graphics card, which is a GTX 1060, and RAM of 16 gigabytes. RAM is a computer's short-term memory, and the bigger the RAM, the more things it can do at once. Now, when it comes to golf simulation, there's a lot of things happening on the screen. So if you want a smooth picture, you need a lot of RAM. The graphics card dictates the actual quality of the image. You will get some speed benefits from it as well, but basically put, the higher the number in your graphics card, the better the image quality. GSPro say that if you want a 4K image, you need a graphics card which is a GTX 3080 or higher. But these things cost money. One thing they don't mention on their website is the processor. If you have a good processor, then your PC is going to be able to utilize all of its RAM better and quicker. If you have a high-spec processor, loads of RAM, and a great graphics card, you can have a really good picture and experience on a golf simulator. For reference though, the PC I bought was £650. The graphics card it has is a GTX 2060. It has 32 gigabytes of RAM and an i7 processor. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of context about what quality you can get for a budget. It's time to actually start having some fun with your home golf simulator. So we're going to start looking at golf simulator software. This is what you're going to actually be playing golf on. This is where you're going to practice. This is where you're going to show your friends that you can play different types of courses. And this is where you're going to spend most of your time. There are 2 types of softwares that you need to consider here. The first one is realistic golf courses. And the second one is practicing or game improvement. They all come in downloadable apps on your phone or tablet, or downloadable programs on your PC or laptop. The main software contenders for realistic golf courses are TGC 2019, E6, and GSPro. If you use a different type of software, get in the comments and let me know which one you use. But I've had a go with all 3 of these and they are all really good fun to use. And they all have some really famous courses from around the world. TGC 2019 has the largest library of golf courses available, but you will find that there are multiple versions for the same golf course and it can get a bit annoying and messy. E6 has been around for a very, very long time and it's available on both PCs and laptops and tablets and phones. So you've got a couple of different options on how you'd want to use that software. The cheapest one is GSPro. Now, GSPro is a relatively new software compared to the other 2. It's got a huge library of golf courses from around the world, and the graphics are very, very good. Out of the 3, the price to quality ratio has to go to GSPro. But where all 3 of these simulator softwares fall down is their practice facilities or their game improvement facilities. If you like stats and you like games on how to improve, or you have kids that you want to introduce golf to, there are a couple of other different software options that are both engaging and fun. And these options are things like Awesome Golf or Creative Golf. Both of these are downloadable on your phones or your tablets or your PC. As a rule, you'll likely get a software app or program that comes free with your golf launch monitor. I've got the Flightscope Mevo Plus, and the FS Golf app is really great when it comes to practice. Flightscope also offer limited access to E6 when you purchase their products. So out of the box, the Flightscope Mevo Plus I bought had a free game improvement app and free use of E6. So technically you don't need to spend money on software if you purchase the Flightscope Mevo Plus, but I did. My software of choice is the GSPro Golf Simulator software, and it costs £250 per year. An absolute bargain if you ask me. There are new courses that get added onto it every day, and one of the biggest reasons I went for it, you can play a golf course called the Georgia Golf Club, which looks very similar to a golf course you've probably seen before. There's a ton of courses from all over the world, and it's fun and it's very cheap for what it is. Your golf simulator build is going to take up a huge amount of real estate in your home. It's going to cost you a lot of money, it's going to take you a lot of time, so you might as well make it a multi-purpose space. The easiest secondary use for a home golf simulator is a cinema room. You've got a huge screen and a projector. You might as well put it to a secondary use. And it's so simple to do. All you need is an Amazon Fire Stick and a bit of Wi-Fi. So if you're struggling to sell this idea to your family, maybe this is going to help your cause a little bit. The unit I have is big enough to be very, very multi-purpose. Like I said earlier, I do some archery in here. I work as a mortgage broker in here. It's a cinema room, it's a golf simulator, it's a storage unit. As much space as my simulator has taken up here, I have made sure that it's not the only thing that this workshop gets used for. But this is the fun part of a DIY build. You have an opportunity to repurpose your golf simulator into other things, other practical things that your family need. So make sure while you're planning your golf simulator that you've thought of other uses for the space as well. I promise you your family will appreciate it. Okay, so let's figure out exactly how much I spent on my whole project. The Flightscope Mevo Plus launch monitor cost me £1,750. The initial hitting mat cost me £150. And then the flooring and the underlay and the driving range mats that I eventually upgraded to cost £600. The enclosure frame, which is made up of the catenary wire, cost me £50. The blackout curtains down the sides, they were free. Lucky me. But before I was given these, I was quoted around £200 for some blackout curtains for both sides of my enclosure. The impact screen as well, that was free, but it would have cost £200. I think the projector was probably one of the biggest bargains I got. I know I got some free items, I get that, fair enough. But the projector, I spent a lot of time trying to find a good, cheap, second-hand solution. And that thing only cost me £150. When it comes to the PC, I kind of wish I went to a more sort of reputable seller. £650 is an absolute bargain, but yeah, I wouldn't want to buy it again. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy with it, but it caused a lot of stress for me at the time. So if you're going to buy a PC, spend a little bit more and buy it from a shop rather than a student working out of an apartment. And finally, the simulator software, that's an ongoing purchase. That is £250 every year. If I ever wanted to stop using that golf simulator software, because I've got the Flightscope Mevo Plus, I will be able to use their free limited version of E6. I've included it in the cost of this simulator build because I wasn't going to not buy it. GSPro is a great simulator software, so it's well worth having a go if you end up building a simulator yourself. I'll add on a little bit here because obviously I've created this space to be multi-purpose, and the likely multi-purpose solution you will have is that it will also be a cinema room. So you're going to need to factor in things like £35 for an Amazon Fire Stick, 150 quid for a sofa, maybe £50 for a coffee table. So all in all, you can have a golf simulator room and a cinema room for less than £4,500. Like I said at the start of this video, this simulator room isn't luxury, it's borderline budget. But for £4,500, I have absolutely everything I need. It's not bottom end Golf Simulator build, and it's definitely not top end Golf Simulator build. It's somewhere right bang in the middle. It can be done a hell of a lot cheaper and it can be done a hell of a lot more expensive. But hopefully this video is giving you the guidelines and the tools you need to start planning and putting together your own golf simulator. If you have any questions at all about my simulator room, if you need me to go into more detail about certain topics, write a comment below, write me an email, drop me a DM on Instagram, and I'll get these questions answered for you. But for now, thanks for taking the time to watch the video. Make sure you've saved this video so you can always refer back to it. If you've enjoyed the video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel, I don't just do videos from the Golf Simulator room. I get out on the golf course and show you how crap I am in real life golf. So yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.